welcome to the 2009 Magic the Gathering World Championships. I'm Randy Buehler. I'm here with Brian David Marshall, and we're ready for some semifinal action. Bram Snepvangers from the Netherlands has 300 career pro points. He's got 4 top 8s on his resume, but he's never been a Pro Tour champ, much less a world champion. Trying to pull that off here. He's got the Boros Bushwhacker deck, the most aggressive deck pretty much in the format. Red, white, aggressive creatures, removal. But Ranger of Eos gives it some card advantage, gives it some reach, gives him the ability to set up really powerful mid-game turns with multiple Bushwhackers and lots of step lynxes. He led with a Teetering Peaks, not the most explosive start he's capable of having, but I think it's setting up a turn 2 Geopede. On the other side of the table, Andre Coimbra from Portugal. He has been in a World's top 8 before. He's got a couple of Grand Prix top 8s, good player, has been here, has done that, and he's playing Naya Lightsaber. So another take on how to build an aggressive deck in this format. It's red, green, white. It's a specific design by Mike Flores, who was trying to figure out how do I beat Jund. Jund has really been the defining deck in this standard format, and good creatures, really big creatures. Again, Ranger of Eos to set up some mid-game powerful turns, refill my hand after a Blightning. Now, he leads with Wild Nacatl, and looks like he gets in for 2 on the first turn. How do you think this matchup plays out?
Well, when I was talking to Bram at lunch, Bram felt that Andre's deck was slow. You know, I'm doing air quotes around that.
Okay.
Which just gives you an idea of how powerful and how fast Bram's deck is. He said that the key to the matchup for him was going to be how many lightning bolts.
Oh, Bram plays an Arid Mesa, so that fetch land triggers the plated Geopede. It's a 3/3, or it would be a 3/3, except Lightning Bolt is going to remove it. It's nice. That fetch land could have potentially created a 5-power Geopede, but no. Andre's got the Lightning Bolt he needs.
He said that was going to be the key. He was not very worried about Path to Exiles, because he felt the Path to Exiles would set up an earlier Ranger of Eos for him, which would then let him have his very explosive turns.
Okay.
So he's pretty comfortable with a Path.
Well, it's an interesting decision here. He's got 2 Step Lynxes in his hand. If he wants to play them both, he'll have to crack his fetch land, but with no land left, he can play 1 Step Lynx and crack the fetch land next turn, or 2 Step Lynxes now. I have no idea what the right play is there. Little subtle decision that...
He can also play a Step Lynx if Andre doesn't draw a 3rd land type. Keep the Wild Nacatl.
Keep the fetch land for on defense.
By leaving the land up.
It's true. But it looks like Bram wants to get 2 Step Lynxes onto the table. So go ahead and cracks his fetch land now. This would have been a much better turn if it hadn't been for that Lightning Bolt from Coimbra, that's for sure. So Coimbra's deck is too slow? It doesn't look too slow.
It doesn't look too slow here. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Wild Nacatls.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things about this deck is it has a lot of 1-drops. It's able to play them on turn 1. It has lands that don't come into play tapped. There's no Jungle Shrine in the deck, which has been a source of some derision from other players.
Yeah, that's a really bold statement. It's a Naya build with no Jungle Shrines.
It's really relying on fetch lands and the new duels from M10.
Okay.
To get turn 3, we've got a 3/3.
Yeah,
Wild
there you go.
Woolly Thoctar is enabled if there's a Thoctar in his hand.
You have 2 cards?
Alright, so what's in his hand? Looks like a Johnny, some lands, and a couple of Woolly Thoctars.
And no attack.
No attack. He wants to play defense, apparently.
He's got a 3/3 and a 5/4, and they can block a 2/3 Step Lynx just fine.
Oh, Lightning Bolt. All right. Andre preferred to leave... 3rd Step Lynx from Bram, no 4th land. So 0-1 Step Lynx is hanging out. Seems like Coimbra can go on the attack now. Yep, Thoctar heads into the red zone.
12.
None of the 0-1s feel like stepping in front, so here comes Thoctar number 2 with a fetch land back, threatening either Path or Lightning Bolt in theory. Bram does finally draw a 4th land, and it's a fetch land, so It's 12 power worth of step links all of a sudden. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Now they're all 2-3s. Seems like you smash here, right? Yeah, bring them all in.
So they are 2-3s.
Yes.
It's 12-19 right now.
Well,
Coimbra does block, I think I heard him say.
Yep.
So he's going to trade that Thoktar for one of the step links. He's going to take 8 down to 11.
Oh, he said
No, he took it. So he takes 12 down to 7. And now, yeah, here comes a Ranger of Eos.
Sure.
There's no second red mana, though. So no, shows him Path and a Johnny. That's game. He can Path the Ranger and a Johnny for 3. That's 13 damage. Why is Bram,
I'll Path it, attack with both and 3 damage you, so you take 13.
Yeah, okay. Andre
Sounds like, oh, I
explains.
understand now.
Okay. Andre Coimbra wins game 1. Quick and brutal. Yeah.
With the slow deck.
Yeah, the allegedly slow deck wins a fairly quick game number 1. So what happens to these decks after sideboarding? Oh, look at Andre. He's consulting a list. Consulting his notes. He talked to his friends, I'm sure. How do I sideboard exactly?
I mean, Andre has a lot of options here. He has Celestial Purges, which we saw could have been very nice against.
Yeah, 4 Celestial Purges in Coimbra's sideboard. I can't figure out how good that card actually is against
Doesn't seem that
Boris
great,
Bushwhacker.
honestly.
It kills Geopete. It feels to me like the kind of card I'm happy to have a couple in my deck. I don't think I want all 4 because after the Geopete, the next best target's like a Bushwhacker, right?
Certainly going to bring certainly going to bring in the 2 Burst Lightnings and probably the 4th of Johnny Vengeance as a kind of almost like a 4 mana lightning bolt.
I mean, even Great Sable Stag is not bad here, right?
Right, 3/3.
3 mana, 3/3.
Pretty critical number to block a non-double
Right.
fetch-landed.
But does he have bad cards to take out?
The one Scoop Mob is
Well,
not
but I mean, that's there
terribly
for the
insane.
Ranger. I think you keep that because it's like 1 turns all your Rangers turn into Scoop Mobs if you've got all the lands.
I know that Andre has been siding out his Rangers and 1-drops. He said, Michael,
Oh, really?
He's very mad at me about my sideboard plan.
His main deck doesn't have bad cards. I mean, what are the bad cards in his main deck? Paths are fine. A Johnny's fine. Lightning Bolt's fine. Yeah, we're talking about Coimbra. This guy's been around for a couple years. He's got a fairly impressive resume. Right, 100 pro points. He will be on the Hall of Fame ballot when it comes his turn. It's his second top 8. He's got 5 Grand Prix top 8s. Just been a solid, steady sort of Pro Tour regular from Portugal.
Yeah, he hasn't really played this year. Interestingly, he played in Berlin with a deck Mike designed. Got him enough points. He ended up having 15 points this year.
Oh, so that's enough for one
And
invite?
it was enough for 1 invite. And he said, I'm going to hang out. I'm going to take it easy. Rome rolls around. I'm going to go to Worlds, see what happens.
Does he have any pro points this year, I wonder?
He does not.
He came in with 0. So he's got 16.
He might have a GP.
Well, but it's relevant. Like, the difference between 16 and 20 is huge. Like, semifinal appearance is worth 16 pro points, which means he's only got 1 invite, but 20 is the magic number that you really want.
Let's take a look at his opponent, Bram Snepvangers. I mean, some gaudy numbers.
284 pro points. There are only about a dozen players in the history of the game that are over the 300 mark. Maybe it's 15. I'm pretty sure it's less than 20. And Bram's there now. He's now gotten at least 16 points from this event. So 300 pro points. He's played every pro tour this decade with one exception. There was a Japanese tour where he couldn't make it. But he's been qualified consistently since the late 90s. He's been playing, 4 top 8s. Just one of the regulars. Just a really solid player and part of a Dutch community that continues to just spit out a steady stream of really good Magic players.
I mean, and you talk to the Dutch players, they talk about Bram being a really kind of like taskmaster judge and community organizer early on in their career, someone who really demanded a high level of play from the players who played in his tournaments. Mm-hmm. Not just in terms of quality of play, but sort of like ethics of play and how you treated your opponents and how you approached the game.
Sure.
And, it's obviously just had a huge influence on that entire community in terms of you see people who are just always polite to their opponents, mm-hmm. always approach the game, very excellent technical play, very sportsmanlike. He gets a lot of credit. And so in terms of players who have more lifetime pro points than him, more than 300 points. You have Camille Cornelissen.
Yeah, you've heard of these names.
Hall of Famer. Jelger Viergersma, Hall of Famer. Shuhei Nakamura, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Once he's on the list,
becomes eligible. Darwin Castle, Hall of Famer. Antoine Ruel, Hall of Famer. Gabriel Nassif, certainly the lead vote getter next season in the Hall of Fame. Raphael Levy, Hall of Famer. John Finkel, Hall of Famer. Olivier Ruel, Hall of Famer, and Kai Bude, Hall of Famer. First ballot Hall of Famers.
Right.
Leading vote getter Hall of Famers.
So here was the stat. I actually found this stat when I was looking things up for this year. There has never been a person up here on the ballot with 300 pro points and failed to get voted in.
Wow.
Like, no one has ever declined. Everyone who's ever been on a ballot with 300 lifetime pro points next to their name has gotten in.
It's certainly hard to norm. I think people can sort of say.
And you just added, there's 10. He's literally the 11th person. He's the 11th person to get 300 career pro points.
Yeah. Frank Karsten may have also.
I don't think Karsten's at 292, so he didn't get 8 this weekend.
He did not get
Where's the list you're looking at is updated October 22nd. Is that before or after Austin? Because Ikeda is the other guy, right? Tsuyoshi Ikeda, who was runner-up in Austin, is sitting on 289 lifetime pro points at this stage. Also a guy who ought to get some consideration. I mean, talk about your community builders.
Yeah, store owner.
Right, he keeps putting up top 8s, another second place. He's the one who should get a look, in my opinion. I'm definitely going to take a long look at him on the next ballot.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little sour seeing Bram doing so well here. Certainly, you have a sort of an old-timers committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Veterans committee kind of vote going here. It's like who's the old-timer gets it. I don't know that people are going to vote for 2 of them. They could even split the vote, which is kind of unfortunate for both of them.
Meanwhile, on the other table, Terry So has taken a 1-0 lead. Great Sable Stag plus Colossal Might was a lot of damage, and that got the job done against Reitbauer's Dun deck.
Not a card we were expecting to see.
No, I was not expecting to see Colossal
Naya
Might.
comes out swinging, huh?
Apparently. All right, Bram staring over his grip. These guys getting ready for game 2. Coimbra's up a game. Now Coimbra's staring at his draw.
Never.
And Coimbra cashes it in. So he'll be playing game 2 with 6 cards.
Netherlands lost in the semifinals of the team tournament off camera, but it was an opportunity for the Netherlands to put players through to the title, world title, and the team title. Now that the opportunity for that to happen falls to Austria.
Yes, our team championship match will be Austria versus China.
So if
that
you
is
had that in
super
the fantasy
exciting.
pool,
yeah, if you had that bet, you made a lot of money, I'm sure, because you probably got long odds. Those were not the teams that we were expecting to see in this team final. Japan was the favorite. Everyone had the Japanese penciled straight through to Sunday. They had a very disappointing weekend, wound up finishing 7th. Watanabe finished 101st, kind of limping to the finish line, but it's such a great run this year that he is, in fact, the player of the year, despite having a fairly disappointing weekend this year.
let's take a look at the teams.
Yeah.
Get to meet these players that you might not be familiar with already.
Yeah, there's the Chinese team. Wu Tong, Bo Li, and Xiang Zhang. They had a great weekend. They swept the team rounds. They won all 4 of their matches to be the number 2 seed coming into today. 31, 27, 25. So nobody really in contention to win the individual world title, but a solid performance from all 3 players. And those crucial 4 wins in the team competition for 36 points. That was good enough to get them second.
Bo Li never played Legacy before this weekend.
Yeah?
He said, there's maybe 20 people in all of China who play Legacy. It's not, they're
Not their format.
One of the newer countries to get access to the game.
Sure.
So I mean, a lot of those older cards they haven't seen a lot of. And it's not something they play. Very much a standard and extended format are the popular formats there. Never played Legacy before. Got a Merfolk deck, off of a good Legacy source.
Mm-hmm.
First match is the first round of the teams. He's 5-0 in Legacy lifetime now. Big part of why they're here today is his performance in Legacy.
Sure. Makes sense. Now let's see who their opponents are going to be. The Austrians, Ben Klauser has been around. He's got 4 career top 8s as an individual.
Right.
So kind of his 5th Sunday performance now. He's been on the Austrian team, I believe, 4 times. Benjamin Rozon and Bernard Lerner also. And you see another one. None of these guys were really in contention to win the individual title. 36 points. Klauser did make money, but I mean, he was, I think, a match and a half away. Yeah, a match and a draw out. So finished in the money, but he was never really at the very top tables. That said, all 3 of them acquitted themselves well. They got 2-2 in the team, and that was good enough to sneak in. They beat the Brazilians on tiebreakers on 117 points. So one of their losses in those team rounds was against the Czech Republic, but they avenged that loss in the semifinals. So the Austrians beat the Czech Republic, the Chinese beat the Netherlands, and there's your finals matchup.
And we're going to see that immediately after these 2 matches are over.
And the Austrians, by the way, this is their second finals appearance in 3 years. They lost to Switzerland 2 years ago.
The team Manuel B was on.
Yep. Oh, interestingly enough, David Reitbauer, the Austrian who's in this individual top 8, was on that Austrian team. But not Ben Klauser, right? I think Klauser's got 4 times on the team, but didn't make it that year.
So we see two players from that finals in 2007 in the top 8 of this event, Manuel Boucher and David Reitbauer.
I mean, a lot of people are talking about this tournament as this potential sort of changing of the guard. I mean, from sort of an international standpoint, and this like almost global political issues playing themselves out, right? The rise of China. I mean, that's something that, on a lot of different fronts around the world, people are expecting. They know it's coming, and we may be seeing that right before our very eyes here at a Magic tournament. The other thing you see in this top 8, there are no Americans, and there are no Japanese. The first top 8 in the 77-event, 13-year history of the Pro Tour without those 2 dominant countries.
Sure. Also no French players. It's another team that's been
a
powerhouse.
All right. Game 2 is underway, and Bram Snepvangers leads with the Goblin Guide. He attacks. I believe he did hit a land, undid the mulligan that Andre Coimbra was forced to take by handing him a land. And I think Coimbra then immediately drew another land, so...
Tapped land. Mike will be so sad.
The M10 lands are not supposed to come into play tapped in this deck. That's kind of the design. Play basics. I mean, he could have actually... Yeah. He had Sun Petal Grove as his other. Could have played a Plains. Second Goblin Guide for Bram. Oh, Forest.
And Ranger Vios.
Ranger Vios will stay on top. All right, Coimbra down to 14. That's a bunch of damage.
I guess this is what Bram was talking about when he was talking about his deck being fast.
Yeah. What's Coimbra's draw? He's got a Purge, potentially do something. He's got a couple of Hierarchs. Well, he's now got, because he drew the Forest, he could go Hierarch, and set up for a Baneslayer next turn. That's probably the way to play it, right? Step links from Snepvangers. I mean, he could Purge a Goblin Guide, but that just feels like a losing fight. Seems like you go Forest, Hierarch, setting up for Baneslayer, but we see Bram's hand. Bram's hand has Mountain, Plated Geopede, and Journey to Nowhere. So Bram has the ability to remove that Baneslayer. That said, I mean, what is Coimbra going to do? Bram's come out of the gate so blisteringly fast that there's no way Coimbra can afford to try to play around a Journey to Nowhere and bait it with something else. And he's got to just cross his fingers and hope that he can play cards fast enough and stay alive.
As we've talked about, there's no protection for Andre's deck.
Yeah, it does not have Brave the Elements. It's a card that a lot of Naya builds are starting to work in. Some in the main, some in the sideboard. Maybe it's a 1 of. Maybe it's a 3 of, though. Card seems really powerful. I mean, 1 mana, it protects. You can win fights. You can stop removal spells. You can falter. Oh, there's Teetering Peaks. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8 damage. Coimbra's going to fall all the way to 6.
Yeah, people have talked about sort of the dearth of counter magic in Standard. Path to Exile and Vines of the Vastwood, which is another card people were playing in Standard this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Have both proven to be non-blue negates. The format shifted to, very, very creature-heavy formats.
Right. So most of the spells that matter are creature removal spells, targeted creature.
Removal, so.
Yeah. Coimbra takes 8. He's at 6. He's going to play a Baneslayer Angel and cross his fingers and hope he survives long enough to untap.
This is the 4-2, right? Yes.
Oh, he chumps?
Okay.
I do not understand that play. So Coimbra's at 10.
They just played a Geopede.
But what does this set up for his turn?
Ranger of Eos?
Yeah, but Ranger of Eos, he just dies to the other creatures. I mean, he can purge something, but... I mean, he can purge and play another Hierarch. I mean, it's not like my Baneslayer play was actually going to work, because it turns out there's a Journey to Nowhere over in Bromstraw. It's interesting. Yeah, Coimbra chose to chump block and set up a turn where he purges. I get partially, maybe he's hoping Brom's going to run out of land? But no, there's a land. So that turns everybody on.
Sure.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power coming over. Coimbra's at 10. He's got the purge. Okay, he sees Path on top of his deck. So the guides failed to hit a land, but he does know that a Path is coming next turn, which is interesting information. Clearly you purge Geopede here, right?
Yes.
Purge Geopede takes 6. And the next turn you can go land Baneslayer with Path up. No, Cascade Overload from the Jund player. Reitbauer has equalized that match at 1 game apiece. The Austrian fans in the crowd are happy to hear about that. We'll definitely get them on camera before they're done.
Andre's doing a little thinking here.
Yeah, I mean, he could chump block again in theory, but it seems like he really wants the Hierarchs from mana.
He doesn't necessarily have that luxury, but if his Baneslayer can stick...
I mean, maybe he's thinking about whether to purge Geopede versus Goblin Guide, hoping maybe Brom's out of land, and that Geopede is just a 1/1 next turn. Am I wrong about the fact that he has Baneslayer in his hand?
No. See Pro Tour photographer Craig Gibson getting a couple shots. All those awesome pictures you see in the coverage. That's Craig.
Yeah, land, Baneslayer, Celestial Purge, Ranger of Eos. That's what Coimbra's got to work with. And we all know, everybody knows he's got a Path on top of his deck, because the Goblin Guide showed us. Alright, purge Geopede. And take 6. Alright, Coimbra's going to go to 4.
And he's basically hoping his...
Yeah, he's going to play Baneslayer and hope it survives. I think removal spell is fatal, though, right? Well, land removal spell is fatal.
He gets to...
Oh, he has a chump blocker.
Right.
That's right. The way he gets to play this, the white mana that he's leaving up for Path is also a chump blocker. So he really wants this Baneslayer to survive. That's his way back into the game. We know that Bram has a Journey to Nowhere in his hand.
And he gets a couple more turns after this, because he can Ranger of Eos up Wildly-Coddles.
All right, there's the Journey on the Angel. And there's the land for the Snepvangers. We see that there's a Celestial Purge on top of his deck. All right, yeah, he's got no choices. He has to chump block, and he has to Path.
To the surprise of exactly no one.
And you path one of the Goblin Guides because you know they're 2-power. And Bram's got to run out of land eventually. Coimbra's set up to take 2 and fall to 2.
So any bolt, any lightning burst.
Yeah, he's all tapped out, so Bolt's lethal right here. Bram's hand is Ranger. Alright, so Hierarch dies. Celestial Purge is drawn, which is an answer to the last Goblin Guide. And there's the Ranger. And Coimbra is actually going to manage to survive the creature attacks. The lands from the Goblin Guides really helped.
But now all he has to do is worry about the top of Bram's deck.
Yeah, that's true. Any burn spell is fatal. How many burn spells are there?
I think there's 6. And main
Lightning
deck,
bolts, burst lightning.
2 burst lightnings.
He doesn't run a Johnny, does he?
I don't believe so. Yeah, 2 burst lightnings, 4 lightning bolts, another burst lightning in his sideboard, Harm's Way, Mana Barbs.
Harm's Way does get it done here, doesn't it?
No.
And Coimbra chose to play a Wild Nacatl. What's the discussion?
Sure. I mean, if he burns the.
All right, Bram draws Core Skyfisher.
Not terribly relevant to this.
No, it's extremely relevant. It's the flying attacker to get through for the last 2.
I meant for this turn.
Right, but I mean, it's threatening to win next turn. We know Coimbra has a Celestial Purge in his hand, but he played his path. Yeah, I think Bram's trying to see, can I accomplish anything with this? He's got a Teetering Peaks that he can pick up. But he's also got a fetch land he can play. So, Step Links. Yeah, he plays the fetch land. That Step Links, this is actually a good attack for Bram, right? Step Links is going to force the Ranger to chump block. Right, I think Coimbra will put the... Oh, and the Nacatl is only a 2-2.
Only a 2-2.
Land does get a land off the top. Coimbra is forced to block, but because of the fetch land, Step Links is going to survive this combat. So Snepvangers falls to 18 thanks to the fetch land. Scott, can you tell me what standard text they played? If you have a runner, I'd be curious.
So Wild Nacatl trades. Here comes the Skyfisher. Pick up the Teetering Peaks.
Yeah. That Skyfisher is threatening to win the game next
Baneslayer
turn.
Angel? Because that's what
Coimbra
you need
needs an
right
answer.
here, right now.
Path or Baneslayer. Or I guess a Johnny. But if he can't answer Skyfisher, then Bram is going to even this at a game apiece. Wild Nacatl go. Haven't seen Coimbra's hand. Bram draws Path to Exile. All right, Teetering Peaks on the Step Links. Smash with both. Coimbra needs Path or Lightning Bolt. Oh, he does have it. He really did draw Path off the top. That Goblin Guide has got the land off the top and allowed Path. Okay, the Step Links is going to get chump blocked by Noble Hierarch. Nacatl at a mere 2-2 can't beat it up. So all 3 Hierarchs have chump blocked in this game now. Bram gets a mountain.
He's racing against a Johnny Vengeant.
Yep.
And Baneslayer Angel for Andre.
Andre draws Thoktar. Does he attack? He does. Gets in there for 2. Plays a Thoktar. Bram has a path in his hands. If he draws land, he actually wins right here. Once again, the world is turned on its ear. Land is the good card, apparently. Geopede really needs a land. Well, Geopede gets purged, so just that step links for Bram Snepvangers, but his opponent's at 2. He's got a path in hand to potentially clear away 1 blocker. If he can draw a land, and if Coimbra has only the 1 blocker, this is still anybody's game. Coimbra attacks with the Nakatl, leaving the Thoktar on defense since it can beat up a step links. Can Bram draw the land? No. He draws another creature. Elite Vanguard. Okay, go. Coimbra draws. Coimbra holding a pair of lands. Does he attack? No, 2 blockers on defense. So land is still fatal. Bram draws a land. I think that does it. It's a fetch land, too, so the step links goes huge. Bram doesn't know that Andre's hand is blanks. Plays the land. That'll trigger the step links. Does he path?
Yeah, of course.
Goes for the path. Thoktar down. Brave the Elements would have been very relevant there. Just the threat of Brave the Elements might have actually changed this. Coimbra scoops them up. So Bram Snepvangers does pull it out. It looked like Coimbra had all but stabilized. He had stabilized, but Bram top decked a little better. And the Bushwhacker deck snuck in those last 2 points of damage. There were tons of cards Bram could have drawn. Lightning bolts are fatal. Land is fatal. Had a million draws and just had to draw something before Johnny Vengeance came down and started gaining some life.
Andre was stable, but he was still in critical condition.
Absolutely. Yes, let's go to the other table, please.
Let's take a look at the match between Terry So and Reitbauer right now.
By the way, really interesting news from the Magic Online Championship. So that's the 3rd event that's been going on this weekend. We've been talking about there's the World's Team title, there's the Individual World Championship, but off to the side has been the Magic Online Championships. That series has gone on Magic Online all year. There were 7 different qualifying seasons where players accumulated points for 4 weeks. If you got enough points, you got into that monthly championship. Win the monthly championship, and you get to come to Rome. So $4,000 minimum prize for all 8 players who qualified, and total prize purse of $50,000.
Right.
So 7 monthly championships plus the Magic Online Player of the Year, Yaga 3, who turned out to be Shota Yasaoka. Yasaoka almost pulled off a crazy double. He was playing for top 8 in the individuals in the last round yesterday. Lost that match, but he still had the mocks to play. So Shota Yasaoka made it to the finals. Anssi Mulamaki from Finland, somebody from last year's world champ, Antti Malin, is in his playtest circle. So they were squaring off in the championship match. And let's see what's going on here.
Cascaded into Colossal Might.
So Bloodbraid Elf from Teriso cascades into Colossal Might. Who got large? The Thoktar? So that is a ginormous Willy Thoktar. I believe ginormous is the correct technical term here. 9/6 trample.
Is ginormous.
Putrid Leech can't do anything about that. I think Reitbauer would have been totally content to trade Putrid Leech for Thoktar, but does not get the chance. All right, this is game 3. Reitbauer and So have split the first 2 games. Reitbauer, the Austrian player, playing the Jund deck, the dominant deck in this format, fully 35% of the field, sort of a historically large percentage for a standard field at Worlds. But everybody knew about it, and so everybody who's still playing feels like, I know how I'm going to use my deck to beat Jund. Terry So thinks he's got enough aggression to do it. Thinks he's got enough aggression plus card advantage. He's got Lotus Cobra, Willy Thoktar, Bloodbraid Elf. There's a Hierarch amongst his 4th land down there.
That was actually at 10.
Pardon?
The Willy Thoktar was
Oh,
actually
yeah,
at
the
10.
Hierarch. Thanks. It's 4 more. So that was fully 10 damage. Reitbauer, half his life total. Bang, gone. Do you like Terry's decision not to attack with Bloodbraid Elf? Yeah, he doesn't want to just get it killed. I mean, he could go with Cobra and Bloodbraid. Bloodbraid gets beaten, but he gets in 4 more damage.
He gets in...
Well, I mean, the Future Leech would pay 2 life to eat the Bloodbraid.
Right.
And so you get the Cobra and the other 2.
You lose 1 point from the benefit from the bonus on the...
Oh, that's true. You do lose
Lotus
the...
Cobra.
You would lose the Hierarch's Exalted bonus.
See a Master of the Wild Hunt there in Reitbauer's hand. That's
Yep.
not a card I've seen in a lot of Jund builds.
LSV was running it too. I mean, it was... LSV had it in his version. I mean, the Japanese were running Siege Gangs instead. Although they also had Rampant Growth instead of Putrid Leech. Yeah, LSV had no Putrid Leech, but he did have Master. All right, here's Bloodbraid from Reitbauer. Maelstrom Pulse. Pretty good. That'll deal with Woolly Thoktar. Now this board looks a lot more stable for the Jund player. Oh, if you see that in the graveyards, there's actually a Terminate there. That's the second Thoktar that Terry has managed to play. Terminate dispatched the first turn 2 Thoktar. Yeah, Reitbauer feels like he's favored in the mid-game. Terry's got the aggressive version of the Naya deck. Goblin Guides come out. Goblin Guides, Lotus Cobras, just attempting to bust out of the gates too fast for Jund to deal with. Celestial Purge from Terry. A second Noble Hierarch, and now Bloodbraid can get in there as a 5/4. Right, so Putrid Leech dispatched by the Celestial Purge. Now it's a 5/4 Bloodbraid Elf. Reitbauer's only on 9. Can he afford to take this? Probably has to, right? And he does. Now what? Plays a Forest? And there's Master of the Wild Hunt.
Leaves up a Dragon Skull Summit representing Lightning Bolt.
Yep. Yeah, Reitbauer's hand, in fact, is Garrick plus land. Terry puts his hand down, puts his hands over his mouth. Thinking through his options. Does he size up an attack? Does he just the Bloodbraid?
Did not draw a land.
I mean, Bloodbraid can attack as a 5/4. It probably would get double blocked. Oh, there's Celestial Purge. So he dispatches the enemy Bloodbraid and attacks with his own. Interesting. I might have attacked first, hoping for a double block. This is a chump, right?
Puts the Master in the way.
It works out the same. Yeah, gave his opponent a chance to make a mistake. That makes sense. All right, Reitbauer's on 4. Terry's got multiple potential attackers. Yeah. All right, here's Garrick. Untaps 2 lands, and here's Bloodbraid. What is he going to cascade up? Sprouting Thynax. Wow. Wow, all of a sudden. Yeah, Reitbauer. If Reitbauer can get to the mid-game, I mean, Terry needs to kill him now. Really wants to win on aggression out of the gates. What does he have? Can he add to his board? Yes, it's another Bloodbraid. Ruin Blaster comes up. That's ball game. That is lethal. 2 blockers, but 2 different hasty attackers from Terry So. Bloodbraid spins up a Ruin Blaster, and Terry's smiling about it.
4 points on accounted for.
4 points out of nowhere. Reitbauer, wow, that was a great game. So Terry So leads 2 games to 1. Only needs to win 1 more game to get through to the finals. All right, so I'm going to finish my Magic Online story. The Mox has gone on. Each day after the individual rounds of the Pro Tour were over, they then played, those 8 players, 3 more rounds against each other. So that was sort of a full 8-man pod each time. They played Classic, the online classic format where every card that's ever been printed on Magic Online is legal, but there's a restricted list. That format was won by the Finnish player, Anssi Mulamaki, 3-0'd with essentially a grindstone painter servant deck.
Oh, very nice.
Meanwhile, they played Zendikar Limited for the second day, and Shota won that. Shota Yasaoka wins that 3-0. And in fact, Shota gave Mulamaki his only loss in draft, and Mulamaki gave Shota his only loss in Classic.
Nice.
So those two had a nice lead going into yesterday's last pod, which was standard constructed. They both ran Jund decks. They both got the one win that they needed to sort of clinch the finals, where it was the two of them. So Mulamaki versus Shota, they played that out in standard, but now they get to switch decks. So each player knows that the other player ran Jund yesterday, and Mulamaki audibled. He switched into a mono red deck, and they played a 10-minute match, and Anssi Mulamaki wins the Magic Online Championship.
Wow.
Mono red over Jund. Shota stuck to his Jund guns. Shota was doing great, but Mulamaki beat him in a literally 10-minute game. 10-minute match.
We came very close to having a mono red deck
like,
in this top 8.
That's like $1,300 a minute. It's $13,000 for the winner. Pretty good Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, mono red deck is a
Yeah,
deck
we saw
a lot
it
of people
playing
are talking
for-
about Peter Brozak. If he had beaten
Manuel
Manuel
Boucher.
Boucher, he would have been playing this top 8. We would have seen Ball Lightnings in the top 8 of Worlds.
So Anssi does, in fact, win the Magic Online Championship. So that series is going to continue again next year, by the way. Starting in January, there'll be a whole new, bigger and better MOX. The championship series is called the MOX. There'll be, I believe it's 8 different seasons, monthly championship series. Maybe it's 9. The point is there's going to be 12 invites instead of 8. And those 12 invites include the Player of the Year, include one giant, open, huge potential tournament. But invitations to next year's World Championships will be available through those monthly championship series again. And next one cranks up in January.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about those is there are no PTQs for Worlds. There's Nationals.
Right.
The way you get invited to Worlds is rating or Nationals.
Yeah.
But
if you're not a Pro Tour regular, this is this and your Nationals. That's what you got to come to
and
next year's Worlds.
There's a spot, there's a way in. I mean, Anssi Mulamaki, he was not qualified for Worlds. He got his invite to Worlds.
Yeah, I believe Shota was the only one already qualified. Maybe there was one other.
No,
Does Jerkovic already qualify?
Jerkovic was top 16 in Austin.
Oh, right. And he was also in the MOX and doing well at this event.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, he had a strong finish.
So, meanwhile, Terry So, with his aggro Naya build, leads David Reitbauer 2-1, trying to get to the finals. On the other side of the bracket, Bram Snepvangers and Andre Coimbra are tied at 1 game apiece. Can we get the overhead from the hero table? All right, I want to keep watching Terry and David, but while they're shuffling, we'll see if we can switch to the overhead camera on the Coimbra Snepvangers match. There you go. Step links from Snepvangers. Coimbra goes to lightning bolt it. So Bram probably won't crack his fetch land. Yep. And fetch land for Coimbra. Passes the turn. Oh, another fetch land. Go. Tap land. Oh, Oran Reef, sure. That'll be the first green mana for Coimbra. Looks like he's got a Thaktar in hand that hasn't had the chance to come out yet.
Bram passes with no play.
Yeah, not a great draw for Bram. So game 3, the winner will be 1 game away from the finals. De Coimbra fetching before his turn, trying to thin a little bit. Doesn't really want to draw lands now. Doesn't want to draw planes anyway. Untaps Oran Reef.
Yes.
looks like a blood braid elf
Interesting.
off the top 4.
Yeah, it does.
He also has a Ranger of Eos.
Yeah, a lot of options here. He also, I'm pretty sure, has a Thoktar. Elects for Ranger. Prefers to play the one who's not green when he's obliged to tap Oran Reef. Is that what's going on? How many cards does he have in his hand? Is he going to have to discard one of these? Or does he have a land to play? Nakatl.
Meanwhile, things are underway in the Terry So Reitbauer match.
I think let's hang out. Okay, that gives him exactly 7.
Did not have a land. And there's a Step Links, potentially towering Step Links for
2 fetch lands.
Bram.
All right, we'll keep you updated on that. But meanwhile, Reitbauer and So are off to the races in their 4th game. Terry trying to clinch a spot in the finals. Putrid Leech comes down on turn 2 for David Reitbauer. Reitbauer is at 19, having cracked a fetch land for that forest. And Terry draws for his 2nd turn. There's that M10 duel, untapped, thanks to the forest, and a Lotus Cobra.
So what standard deck did you see this weekend that is not represented in the top 8? We were talking about Ball Lightning.
Oh, the green-white decks were the ones I saw that looked really good. Sort of Knight of the Reliquary, Myria Angel. Those decks looked really good to me. I mean, I guess we sort of had that vibe here. I mean, they're different. There's a whole bunch of different ways. I feel like there's like a 100 to 200 card green-white touch blue deck that everybody, like, which 60 do I actually care about? Right? Do I run Baneslayer? Some people had Baneslayer, some people didn't. Some people had a Myria Angel, some people didn't. Sometimes Knight of the Reliquary, sometimes no. Honor the Pure, Ajani, there's just like all these cards that, you know, the collective deck building brains of the world has not yet settled in on exactly the right way to build that sort of
14.
White deck. I mean, it's clear that white gives you a lot of awesome tools with Ranger of Eos, with Path to Exile, Celestial Purge, Oblivion Ring, Brave the Elements. There's all these awesome white utility cards that potentially get the removal you need and the card advantage you need to have a good game against almost everybody. But I don't know. I just feel like that deck hasn't been perfected yet.
Sure.
You know, it hasn't. You know, the Jund deck. Everybody's got almost exactly the same Jund deck. You know, the millions of matches or millions of hours have sort of fine-tuned that down, and everybody kind of knows the right way to build Jund. But I think it's green-white. Like, to me, a Myria Angel Knight of the Reliquary looks so good that I feel like the optimal version of that deck will have green. But I don't know how many other colors it has and exactly what details.
I think the deck that was super exciting to me.
Another Terminate. Wow, look at the removal from Reitbauer. Bolt, Terminate. He is on the offense. We were saying last time he needs the mid-game, right? So supposed to be the aggro deck, but his Cobra got bolted, his other Cobra got bolted, his Thoktar got terminated, and now Putrid Leech and Sprouting Thrynax are taking giant chunks out of Terry's life total. He's already down to 7.
With those 2 lightning bolts cleared, this Great Sable Stag is a very nice blocker.
Yeah, Great Sable Stag.
Is there a 3rd lightning bolt for Reitbauer?
Oh, Burst Lightning to your head. Sable Stag picks off one of them, but the Burst Lightning is fatal. Wow, what a blowout. David Reitbauer and his Jund deck go aggro and turn the tables on Terry So. They are headed to 5. Look at Reitbauer. He's breathing a little hard. He's like, wow, that just happened, didn't it? I did do that. Awesome. Wow, 4 pieces of removal. He's able to go aggro. He had the Putrid Leech. He's able to bolt, clear a blocker, attack, bolt, attack, terminate, attack. Wow.
Let's take a look at David Reitbauer's career.
Yeah, he's 27. He's from Austria. He was on the Austrian team that almost won the world's team title in 2007, losing to Switzerland. 55 pro points and a bunch more. He's got at least 16 more today. He's hoping he'd rather have 25. He'd rather have a world championship title. And Austria could pull the double, right? Austria is in position to potentially win both the team title and the individual title. We shall see. All right. I think, let's see, we should go check in on table A.
We're going to go look at the other match.
Yes.
We see Andre Coimbra attacking with
Yeah,
three
Coimbra is
creatures into
attacking.
one. He's just burst lightning to clear a Ranger of Eos.
Yeah, this was a particularly slow draw for Bram.
And
Coimbra's really taking advantage of it.
that's a 4/4 wild.
Oren
Nikado.
Reef turns the Nikado into a 4/4. Coimbra still got gas thanks to all he's just, the Ranger gave him those 2 Nikados. So sure looks like Coimbra's going to take game 3. This is not a position that the Bushwhacker deck usually comes back from. I mean, how does it come back? It basically involves Baneslayer Angel, and no answer from
Isn't that the
Coimbra?
answer to almost every scenario in Standard? How do I get out of this? If only I had a Baneslayer Angel. Playing 4 would go a long way to doing that for Bram. Seems like Bram's in the tank trying to figure out his way out.
Yep.
It's going to start. I believe he tutored up 2 Elite Vanguards last turn with his Ranger of Eos. Played 1 and then plays another now.
So takes out the big Nikado. Chooses to leave the planes untapped rather than play a second Vanguard. Or no, he played the other Vanguard last turn and traded it off against a... All right. What does Coimbra have left?
Pretty sure he has a Baneslayer Angel in his hand.
Oh, yeah? That seems good.
Well, he plays 4, so.
All right. Hierarch. So Exalted means that Ranger of Eos attacks as a 4/3. Seems like a nice little play. But Bram has Path to Exile. So bye-bye Ranger. Coimbra does get another land.
Path to Exile also sort of clears the way for the Baneslayer Angel to
Yeah,
hit
it does.
the board.
I mean, I don't think Bram had a choice there.
Yeah.
Doesn't really want to chump block. He has to hope Coimbra's out of gas, however unlikely it is. Coimbra plays a land. That gets him to 5.
Nope.
Uses
Pretty
it for a
happy with this
Thoktar. So this is still game 3. These guys are tied 1 game apiece. Coimbra seems to be winning this game, looking to take a 2-1 lead.
Bram plays
But
Baneslayer
Bram
Angel.
draws and plays Baneslayer Angel.
Doesn't sound like Andre had the answer. He would have.
Wouldn't have taken him very long
Wouldn't have
to.
taken very long to deal with that on the end of his opponent's turn.
Yeah, that does not seem to require a lot of thinking. With no Baneslayer Angel from Coimbra, this game could totally turn around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But
Oh, wow, look at that turn. Baneslayer of his own and a Thoktar.
Bram is at 5.
Yeah.
And Andre has Baneslayer superiority thanks to that Noble Hierarch.
True. Does that mean... And Bram can't afford to attack here, right? And he loses to the... He can't use the Baneslayer to block anybody else either. Oh, Journey to Nowhere on the Baneslayer. Wow, this game is turning around for Bram Snepvangers. Now what?
I don't believe he can attack still.
He can almost
He
attack,
attacks,
right?
he gets to 10. He takes 7 on the crack back. You know, chump blocks one of the Woolly Thokdars.
Yeah, he can only if he attacks, he'll be obliged to chump. If he leaves Baneslayer on defense, then Coimbra is unlikely to attack.
Yeah, he you know, just given the cards on the board, he loses the race over the next 2 turns.
Yeah. But if he just had, you know, any random guy, you know, setting up if, you know, another Elite Vanguard or something, double block Thoktar.
It's going to go to 4. Thinking better of it.
4.
I mean, Bram's got to feel vulnerable. If Coimbra draws a Baneslayer answer, he just dies. So, you know, playing defense and trusting your Baneslayer is going to stay alive is kind of sketchy. He'd rather figure out a way to navigate things such that he can actually attack and potentially end the game.
I'm going to search again. I'll search again.
Ooh, he does have Ranger. Couple Vanguards, maybe? I don't know how many he's got left. Yeah, I would attack here. He gets his step links and a Vanguard. I think he's supposed to attack with his Baneslayer. He's got 2 blockers available, so he's not going to die on the crackback. Even if Coimbra has a removal spell, he can't. He's only going to get in for 7 or 8. 8. And Bram will be at 9.
Go.
Oh, he leaves it on defense. Interesting. That's fine, but I mean, why not go ahead and take a 5-point bite out of Andre's life total? I mean, he effectively gave him a turn, like 4 turns from now, you know what I mean? I mean, it keeps his creatures alive, but... Okay, now you're definitely attacking. So Snepvangers up to 9, Coimbra down to 14. Bram's hand has got a Vanguard and a Step Links in it that he got from that Ranger, so more blockers on the ground. Oh my goodness, another Baneslayer! Bram Snepvangers has drawn multiple Baneslayers off the top of his deck. He's now in great shape to take game 3.
AKA all his Baneslayers.
Yeah, he only runs the 2. Wow. Coimbra just shrugs and passes the turn back. What's he going to do?
I believe he's going to die.
Baneslayer. That drops Coimbra to 4.
That's Burst Lightning.
Snepvanger says, kick this. Ball game. Wow. The Dutch veteran.
Bram Snepvangers says, polish me a plaque for Cooperstown.
Snepvangers takes game 3. He's now 2-1 up. He only needs to win 1 of the next 2 to go through to the finals. Who would he play if he got there? They only need 1 game left to determine whether David Reitbauer or Terry So goes to the finals. So we'll go back. We'll check out their game 5. Terry leads with a Jungle Shrine. Dueling Tri-Lands. Lotus Cobra from Terry So, threatening an explosive start. The way this matchup is played out, So has the advantage in the early turns. His game plan is to just out-aggro the Jund player. So Burst Lightning knocks his Cobra away. This is the way Reitbauer draw it up. He wants to trade card for card, card for card. Goblin Guide comes into play. Master of the Wild Hunt on top. Does Terry not have a 3rd land? Or is he thinking? Whoa, no 3rd land. Terry's like, can I attack myself with Goblin Guide?
heard it worked that way in playtesting.
Reitbauer's hand looks like it's got a couple of Maelstrom pulses in it. It's got some land. His game plan is to just trade cards, get into the late game where his Cascade engine and his bigger, more powerful spells can win in the game later.
Right.
Terry So's plan...
those Cascade scratch-offs.
Terry So's plan is to come out fast and aggressive and put so much pressure on Reitbauer that he doesn't have time to set up his card advantage engine. I don't know about engine, but all the 2-for-1s, 2-for-1s, 2-for-1s.
There's a Verdant Catacombs.
Yeah. Passes the turn back to Terry, who I'm sure really, really, really wants to draw a land. And does not. Goblin Guide attacks. Flip reveals a Bloodbraid Elf. Well, the good news is it's not a free land. The bad news is it's a very good card. Yeah, Terry shifts the turn. No third land. Yeah, Reitbauer grins.
Thanks
Terry
for letting me know
not
to break my fetch land.
That's too bad to see it end this way. Yeah, Reitbauer's hand is quite saucy. Bloodbraid, Pulse, Master of the Haunt, and all the land he needs to cast everything. Do you bother pulsing a Goblin Guide? No, you just Bloodbraid here, right?
Yeah.
See what happens. Whatever it is, it's probably good.
We know the Bloodbraid is going to get Celestial Purged. One of the few cards Terry's able to cast, given a target.
We'll take a real quick break after these two matches are over. We'll be back with the team finals. That's what's on deck. China versus Austria.
Get to look at China's standard take on Jund, which has Vampire Nighthawks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Reitbauer does play out a Bloodbraid Elf, spins up a Maelstrom Pulse.
Says, sure. I'll
Down
use this Maelstrom Pulse.
Yeah. Down goes Goblin Guide. And in comes Bloodbraid Elf. Does get purged, like we expected. Okay. So the board's even, right? Yeah, not exactly. Terry draws very slowly, and it's another great Sable Stag. Would be pretty good against Reitbauer's hand. There's no lightning bolts in Reitbauer's hand. But they don't do Terry any good in his hand. So Reitbauer cracks a fetched land. He's at 4. It's the time for the other Bloodbraid. His Jund deck is just relentless. You said you either just deserved to be a Jund deck in this finals. It's been such the boogeyman in Standard for the last month or so.
Master
of the Hunt
comes into play as
and Oran Reef pumps it up.
No. See a little shake of Reitbauer's hand. You can feel how close he is.
Yeah, he can. Totally can. I think the Master's a better play than on Bloodbraid, right? There's no targets if a creature removal spell gets spun up, so hold back the Bloodbraid.
Nothing from Terry.
Wow, nothing from Terry. That's a shame. Now, okay, fine. My Bloodbraid's a 4-power attacker thanks to Oran Reef. Maybe I'd just do that. No, he doesn't. Instead, it's a Putrid Leech and another Putrid Leech. And Oran Reef means both of those get a counter. I think the Wolf gets a counter too because it came into play this turn.
Yes, it does.
Oh, Lotus Cobra off the top for Terry.
Taunting him.
Oh, jeez.
And the critics of Lotus Cobra, this is sort of exactly the scenario.
This is why you don't play it?
This is what people don't like about it very much.
Sure.
It doesn't help you. It only helps you when you already have. You're going to make all your land drops and do all your stuff that your deck is normally going to do anyway.
Yeah.
So there should be a counter on that Wolf.
also has should have
sure.
have a token.
Yeah, they noticed it.
Yeah.
It's a 3/3.
Yeah.
Draw.
Yep.
Hard to imagine how Terry So comes back from this.
He takes 6-10.
Terminate your Lotus Cobra, because that's lethal. There's the handshake, and we're done. David Reitbauer, 3-2, blows out a mana screwed Terry So in Game 5.
An embarrassment of riches in that game.
Terry was up 2-1. He was 1 game away, but Reitbauer came back. He wins Game 4. He wins Game 5, and we can't believe it. Look at him. That's
David
the
can't
smile.
believe it either.
That is the smile of a man who is now about to play for the World Championship.
And $45,000.
He is super happy. He's delighted to be here. He's been on stage once before as a member of the Austrian team. They came up short. They finished second to Switzerland a couple years ago. David will be trying to get the job done here. Wow.
That's Terry So's second semifinal exit.
Yep. Great player. Well, I'm sure we'll see him again someday.
He just won a qualifier for Pro Tour San Diego. So he is actually qualified for San Diego on Pro Tour.
There you go.
PTQ
Won a PTQ. So who will be playing David Reitbauer? Who will be trying to slay the Jund Menace in the finals? Will it be Bram Snepvangers with his Boris Bushwhacker deck? Or will it be Andre Coimbra with the Naya Lightsaber specifically designed to beat Jund? Bram leads with a Steplinks. This is game number 4. Bram is up 2-1. Came back with a couple of Baneslayers to win a Game 3 that we had all but written him off in. Nakatl for Coimbra on the second turn. Fetch land, but with the trigger on the stack. Coimbra lightning bolts the Steplinks. Down comes another. Bram will save his fetch land for later. Fetch land also means the Steplinks can potentially beat up Nakatl, barring a plains. Right, it's a 2-2 Nakatl. So there's Arid Mesa. Now that can be a 3-3 Nakatl. Do you attack or do you block if you're Coimbra? Like, he can attack now, but he'd rather have his Nakatl available for defense. I don't know. If you look at Coimbra's hand, has got Rangers and Ajani's in it. So he just wants to stay alive. If he stays alive long enough to cast the super powerful spells in his hand, he's golden. That was Brahm's hand. Yeah, here's Coimbra. Path, Ajani.
It's possible that
Ranger.
his own.
He'll path his own Nakatl to get the 4th mana.
Here, yeah.
I think he's hoping for Bram to path. He's like, come on, path my Nakatl. Antoine Ruel definitely making his presence felt. His invitational winning Ranger Vios is in both of these decks. All right, Steplinks attacks. There's 2 fetch lands and a land play for the turn, so that Steplinks is already a 2/3. Bram's like double taking. Okay, why are you doing this exactly? He wants Bram to. I mean, Coimbra's actually played this pretty smart. This is going to force Bram to go ahead and crack a fetch land, and we know.
So now it's a 4/5.
That Coimbra's got a path in his hand, so he's probably going to path here to keep his Nakatl alive, I would think. And like you said, outside chance he'll path his own Nakatl. In fact, with Coimbra's hand, it's 4 mana, 4 mana, 4 mana. Like, which do you path?
I think I would seriously consider pathing the wild Nakatl here.
Seems a little crazy. Like, he can.
Nope.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, having that 3/3 blocker is going to buy you some time, right?
But you also have to respect giving the extra lands to Bram, who's then
he's shown
able to
3.
build his big turns, accelerate out his Ranger Vios.
Snepvangers figuring out which land to get with his fetch land. So he cracks the other fetch land in addition. One of our Twitter followers has pointed out Saito also cracked 300 pro points. He's at 301 after his top 16 here. All right, Brown's got a lightning bolt for the Nikotl. And, of course, Skyfisher. Is that a land? It was. The M10 land comes into play untapped, so just what Andre Coimbra needed. Now, a Johnny? Yes. A Johnny and kill the Skyfisher. Oh, wait, Coimbra needed a land there. And he did. He found it. Drew exactly what he needed.
Coimbra goes up to 21 on the lightning helix-like effect. There's a Ranger of Eos from Bram.
David Reitbauer waits in the finals for the winner of this match.
Goes and gets Boros Bushwhacker and Elite Vanguard.
Sure. He really is setting up for a great next turn. Reitbauer, before he plays that finals, though, he gets to turn into an audience member and watch the Austrian team to see if they can get the job done against China.
So you keep one of Brahm's lands tapped here. Play a Ranger.
A mountain, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, keeping a plains tap might keep him off of...
Well, but if you can't kick out the Bushwhacker,
Sure.
So Bushwhacker's worthless as a 1-drop. So yeah, it does indeed tap a mountain. Ranger for Coimbra.
And gets 2 Wild Nikotls, I'm sure. Wild Nikotl Scoot Mob.
Oh, Scoot Mob. So is Flores home watching this, do you think?
Mike Flores has got 2 kids. He needs all the sleep he can get. I mean, he could Twitter and tell us if he's watching
That's
this.
true.
I'm sure we would have heard from him.
The fact that he's got 2 kids means he's got training of how to deal without sleep, though.
True.
Maybe he just went to bed secure in the knowledge that his deck would surely win.
He goes to bed every night secure in the knowledge that his deck is going to win. So there was another mountain for...
Yeah, Bram did have the other mountain, so he's able to play the Bushwhacker and the Vanguard. So, what? You just smash a Johnny, right? With everybody?
You can send 2 of them to Johnny and 1 at...
oh, right, that's
Andre.
better. It's definitely better. So he sends the Ranger at Andre, right?
These 2 attack Johnny, this one attacks you.
Interesting. Yeah, he'd prefer to keep the bigger creature around, so he's just trying to make Coimbra's blocking life a little bit more difficult. Coimbra has the 1 blocker, right? Coimbra can trade Ranger Vios for his choice of anybody. Okay. Johnny dies, and he does not trade the Ranger.
Sure. Takes 3.
Why wouldn't you trade Ranger for somebody there? Goes on the offense? Coimbra's at 18? All right, Scoot Mob and Nikotl.
Scoot Mob is not threatening to get big next
No,
time.
no 5th land for Coimbra. Teetering Peaks. Teetering Peaks means both those guys are 3 power. So...
Put the Scoot Mob in front of the Bushwhacker, or do you just take the damage and it's a 1-1 next turn?
Huh. I'm surprised Coimbra attacked with that Ranger. seems like you don't really want to trade damage with the Bushwhacker deck, right? I mean, Coimbra's deck is better set up for the late game. And again, he declines to trade with a Ranger. So 14-15 now.
Does Bram have the Baneslayer Angel?
That'd be pretty good here.
2, 4, 5.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Good in extended, good in standard.
Wow, catch a look at Coimbra's hand. Burst Lightning, Lightning Bolt, Ranger of Eos, and Bloodbraid Elf. So uses the Bolt and the Burst Lightning to deal with Baneslayer.
Doesn't want to attack this turn.
So his hand is Bloodbraid and... What did I say? Ranger. I know Bram has a Ranger in his hand. Bram is Ranger Mountain. So Bram's set up for a... Wow, Bram is set up for a Bushwhacker turn. Yeah, Bram can go Elite Vanguard, Ranger, Elite Vanguard, Bushwhacker, and play them all. Which is the scary thing, which is why I'm surprised Coimbra's been trading damage instead of creatures. Like, he's had two different opportunities to trade somebody for that Ranger, and instead he's just taken... Ranger, Vanguard, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's true. And Coimbra ships the turn. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not... They're all trades. Like, nobody... I mean, I guess Nikado can eat the Bushwhacker, but whatever. You're content with that if that's how it plays out. I didn't see what Bram drew, but it certainly seems like you Ranger up a Bushwhacker and presumably a Vanguard. Yeah, he did. He drew Elspeth off the top. I still make the Ranger play, and then next turn you can Elspeth and send somebody to the air. Of course, Elspeth make a token makes the Bushwhacker even better. Like, then you can make a token. The Bushwhacker gives Elspeth token haste. It turns into a 20-point attack. So which way does Bram play it? Okay, Elspeth now. Saves his Ranger. Oh, sends Ranger to the air. Yeah, that Ranger shouldn't be alive. I feel like Coimbra should have traded somebody for it a while ago. All right, Coimbra down to 9 thanks to those 6 damage. Bloodbraid into Hierarch. Not the most exciting Bloodbraid ever.
Another one of the criticisms of the deck is that the Bloodbraid Elves
Yeah.
a number of just kind of meh cards that they can hit.
Sure.
Most notably,
Coimbra stares over. He has to win this game. He's down 2-1. Coimbra's staring at the board.
Bram is looking to return to a finals of a Pro Tour for the first time since 2002 in Nice, when he lost to Ivan Knitter.
Wow.
7 years since he's been as far as the finals in a Pro Tour. He could be one Ranger of Eos away from it.
All right. Coimbra wants to get rid of Elspeth. Bram's like, okay.
Sure.
That makes my life a lot easier. That means you're dead.
I am going to
Coimbra
Pro
shakes
Tour
his
Finals.
hand. Wow. Yep, that Ranger's going to go get a Bushwhacker, and
Bram held back a land last turn for that. That was kind of nice. He could have played that mountain, held it.
Really?
No.
Wasn't the game over there? What am I missing?
But does he not have a Boros? Does he not have a Goblin Bushwhacker?
What am I missing? Why did he not just win the game right there?
Andre's at 7.
Are there no Bushwhackers left in his deck?
Is he taking them out in favor of other cards? I mean, that could be the answer.
Huh.
That is the answer.
Okay, there were no Bushwhackers in his deck. Never mind. Seems like he really wanted a Bushwhacker in his deck right there. Isn't this the Boros Bushwhacker deck? How do you take out the namesake card? Apparently it's the Boros Vanguard deck.
Interesting. Then why would he tap in such a way that he can't play
Can't
both
play them
of
both?
them?
Well, he had to tap white because he needed a white for Ranger, that's why.
Yeah. Wow. Gets 2 Steplings instead.
Yeah, he's been holding his land in his hand. Don't you leave one Bushwhacker in? You've got a Ranger deck. Like, the ability to tutor it up. He hasn't gone through one already this game, has he?
He did go through one, right? The Scoot Mob traded with
Oh,
Bushwhacker.
right. So his deck, after sideboarding, had precisely one Bushwhacker left in it. In theory, he could tutor it up when he needed it. Apparently didn't think the odds of the game playing out this way were very high. Didn't expect to want a second one. He plays the land so that he can play both Steplingses. Coimbra's at 7.
And he only has 2 Bushwhackers to start with.
Starts with 2? Ranger, Hierarch, and land for Coimbra. Land is good news. All right, cracking the fetch lane will drop Coimbra to 6. Does of course play the Ranger. This is a pair of Nicodles. Does he have 2 left? Is this going to be Hierarch?
He just has 2 Hierarchs left.
Oh. It's funny, both players
Guys,
have just run out of gas.
Well, they have to sideboard out so many cards for their post-board games.
These Rangers are so much worse, though, now. All right. Bram can play a land and turn on both those Steplingses. That would give him 5 attackers. Steplings, Ranger, and Elite Vanguard. The blockers available to Coimbra include the 3/3 Nicodle that would have its choice
or a Steplings.
Of eating a Steplings or a Vanguard, right? And then, but everybody else is 3/2 or 0/1. So it seems like if you're Bram Snepvangers, you're supposed to just play land and smash. Right? You'll either...
When the dust settled, Bram would have 1 creature, and Andre would have a wild Nicodle.
Bram's got Teetering Peaks in his hand. Maybe you're not supposed to. Boy, the lack of that Bushwhacker has totally changed this. It's like the game has gone from mathematically over to all of a sudden Coimbra has time to play out enough blockers.
Right.
Yeah, if Bram attacks, he'll either get through for 2 or he'll force Hierarch to chump block. But It'll be a trade, a trade, a trade, Nakatl beating up somebody. Bram would be down to one creature, so that does not sound like a particularly good attack to me.
They would both have one creature when the dust settled, right?
Well, Nakatl will survive, and Coimbra will have his choice of a
whatever
Hierarch
creature
or 3
the
life.
Hierarch blocks will
Well,
survive.
Hierarch doesn't necessarily block.
Right.
Coimbra gets his choice of 2 life or a Hierarch. So that's not a particularly exciting attack phase. But then again, what happens later? Like, what does Bram? When does the attack get better for Bram? It gets better when he draws a Bushwhacker, but that's not going to happen. How many Elspeths does he run?
We're playing a Baneslayer game here, I think.
Well, that's Edge Coimbra, who runs twice as many of them. Here's Bloodbraid. Oh,
Oops.
Baneslayer's headed to the bottom. Land. Thoktar. These last 2 games have been crazy. Both times we had one player all but having won the game. And it looks like the other guy may come back to win it. Like, how does Coimbra lose from this position? I mean, Elspeth and Baneslayer have to come off the top, right? How many Elspeths does he run? Looks like 2 in the main, 1 in the board. I don't know if he boarded the 1 in or not.
Or if he boarded 1 out.
And there's another Hierarch from Coimbra. And another Hierarch from Coimbra. You attack with somebody, right?
You got to send someone in here.
Send somebody.
You send
It's +3,
you send a
+3.
6/6 Noble Hierarch, or you send a 6/5 Ranger.
It's either
Veos?
Bloodbraid or a Ranger. Probably
Also
Bloodbraid.
6/5.
Yeah, 6/5 Bloodbraid.
8.
Snepvangers takes it down to 8.
Let's see if we can figure out how Bram has sideboarded exactly by this game.
Wow, Bram has drawn an Oblivion Ring, but this board is so awful for him. The 3 Hierarchs mean anything Coimbra attacks with is going to be gigantic. All right, so the 3rd Elspeth is indeed in Snepvangers' deck.
Yourself how big it is.
So Bram has played a Teetering Peaks and attacked with a
Damage, I'll have to tell you.
4/3 Step Links.
Yep.
Do you just trade this with a Ranger Veos?
Yeah, we trade a Ranger or trade
or the other Bloodbraid or whatever.
we trade the Bloodbraid because Snepvangers has a Celestial Purge. So the Bloodbraid's just strictly worse after they're in play.
2 cards.
No, he's just going to
Chump?
jump with a Noble
Really?
Hierarch.
Coimbra's a big believer in chump blocking with Noble Hierarchs, that's for sure. He's done a lot more of that than I would have in his seat.
Well, his 5/4 attackers still require 2 blocks.
Sure, but what's the downside of trading? Like, if your attack plan is thanks to the...
You think that was a live card from Andre?
Let's see what it was. All right, Bram's down to 8. Coimbra's at 6.
I mean, he just makes the same attack here, right?
Seems like Coimbra... I mean, he's got double Hierarch, so he should be attacking with somebody at +2/+2. Bram Snepvangers sideboarded out one of his... that was why Coimbra wanted to keep everything alive. Because he's got this plan. 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-2, 3-3.
Jan Moritz Merkel has nothing on Andre Coimbra.
Coimbra sends everybody smashing into the red zone. Bram has no good blocks. He can trade, and then he's going to be forced to chump block with the other step links.
So the Wild Nikotl is a 3-3. It doesn't actually need a forest to get its first point of power. That comes inherently, so you can play it off of a non-forest source if anyone out there is wondering about that.
Bram's going to chump block and save his 3-2. Oh, he wants to make sure that Elspeth is lethal. Yeah, so Bram is playing to top deck Elspeth. He takes 6 down to 2. He's dead next turn, but he wanted to leave himself live outs. So Elspeth off the top will get the job done. Baneslayer off the top. Oh! Elspeth not going to be good enough anymore. Baneslayer from Coimbra. Looks like we are headed to game number 5. Andre Coimbra takes game 4, evens this match at 2 games apiece. They'll play 1 game to find out who gets to play for the title of world champion against David Reitbauer. Will it be the Portuguese player, Andre Coimbra, in his second world's top 8, looking to get the job done? Or will it be the veteran Dutchman, Bram Snepvangers, in his 4th top 8, looking to get back to the finals for the first time since Nice 7 years ago? Who do you like in Game 5, Brian?
I mean, you have to... Well, it depends on how Bram sideboards. I mean, we definitely... Game 1, I would almost certainly say Bram. But without the explosiveness of his deck in Game 1, that ability to do all the things that he's done, we saw what would have happened if he had the extra Boros Bushwhacker.
Second Bushwhacker, he's in the finals. And it looks like he is going back to his sideboard. I see 1 card face down.
You think that 1 card is a
I bet it's the
Bushwhacker?
Bushwhacker that he wants to put back in. Or did you do the whole... Did he shuffle
maybe he's
in?
doing play and draw, right? On the play, he wants Goblin Guides. On the draw, he doesn't.
Yeah, he shuffled all 15 in. Another veteran move. What do you think? Does it make sense to take out the Bushwhacker in this matchup?
You know, certainly looking at this particular game, it did not. But I mean, he has to find room for some of the other cards he wants to bring in. He wants to bring in his... Do we have exactly what he ended up bringing in that last game?
So last game, he brought in the Elspeth. He brought in 2 Oblivion Rings. He brought in 2 Journeys. He brought in the Celestial Purge. He brought in 2 Baneslayers. He brought in a Burst of Lightning. In exchange for this, he took 4 Geopedes out. He took 4 Goblin Guides out. He took 1 Bushwhacker out. So essentially, he took all of the Celestial Purge targets out of his deck, with the exception of 1 Bushwhacker. That was the play. How many... Coimbra does have access to 4 Celestial Purges. They're probably in his deck, and that's a big part of the game that Bram's playing here, right? It's this Celestial Purge. He played to make Celestial Purge a dead card.
Right.
It's a pretty coherent strategy. It's just sort of weird that he needed access to a second Bushwhacker and didn't have it. So now I'll be very curious to see both sideboards in this game.
Andre has seen that he didn't have it. He's seen that there wasn't a Goblin Guide to tutor for, that there wasn't a Bushwhacker to tutor for.
Well, he knows Bram chose never to tutor for those things.
Sure.
It doesn't guarantee that they're not there. Definitely want to see where Coimbra's Celestial Purges are. We'll have to get a look at his sideboard. What happened?
I think Andre just asked the waiter to go get him a soda.
Nice.
The new judge shirts, maybe it's not clear that was a judge at his table.
Yeah, there's a couple of soda cans already. A couple of empties on the floor. Coimbra's working his way through. Got to keep the energy level up. It was crazy. There's a Red Bull stand here this weekend. Like Red Bull had brought in sort of to sponsor, as a branding thing. They're just giving out free Red Bulls to Pro Tour players. And it's just kind of scary. Like,
I am getting some text messages from Mike here, so he is watching.
were they out last game? Okay, get us Brahms when he gets a chance.
We're
All right,
getting
we have
to the
had
bottom
Rich
of
check
the great
and
Celestial Purge sideboard shenanigans.
Yeah, there are 4 Celestial Purges in Andre Coimbra's deck. I don't know if they were there last game or not, quite frankly, but we know they're in now. I suspect Coimbra has just had them in the whole time because they're obviously awesome against Boris Bushwhacker. And it's not obvious that Bram sideboarded out everything.
I mean, I think it's clear that the Goblin Guides are no longer there. Maybe not the GOPs, which we
Maybe.
couldn't tutor up.
All right. Bram has put all 8 red monsters back in. Now it's Vanguard in the sideboard. A couple Baneslayers are in the sideboard. He's playing completely different decks, playing and drawing. It's probably a play-draw thing. Maybe it's a Celestial Purge Gambit thing. But
Sounds like he wants Goblin Guides on the play, Elite Vanguards on the draw.
wow, 3 Burst Lightning in his sideboard. 3 Elspeth in the board. 2 Vanguard in the board. 2 Baneslayer. 1 Harm's Way.
So 2 Harm's Way.
Crazy. He brought in 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. He swapped 11 cards from his Game 4 build.
Wow.
That's insane. I don't know that I've ever seen such a impactful sideboarding change. Like every 6th card in his deck is new this game versus last game. I mean, Goblin Guide being better on the play makes sense to me. GOP being better on the play also makes sense.
Sure.
Harm's Way being better on the play makes sense. There's now 2 Harm's Ways in Bram's deck. But yeah, the Elspeths are on the board and the Baneslayers are on the board. Those are better on the draw, apparently.
This is certainly the build of Brahm's deck that is the most explosive.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
He is hoping for not a lot of lightning bolts from Andre. That was his plan.
All right. 1 game for a spot in the finals. These guys draw up their 7.
And Andre has essentially 6 lightning bolts in this situation because he's brought in his burst lightnings.
Sure. I mean, Celestial Purges are
And
pretty
his
good,
Celestial
too.
Purges, yeah. He has 10.
He's got 10
14
removal spells.
spell removal spells.
I keep it.
Bram keeps. Andre thinking. Haven't gotten a good look at it. Three land. Burst Lightning, Celestial Purge, a Johnny, and something. Goblin Guide attacks and shows a Ranger. So 2 power haste and no free land. This is the way Bram drew it up. Yeah, Mountain go. He's going to see if he gets a free land and then Burst Lightning, presumably. Is it? Mountain on the top. So free land for Coimbra. And there's Lightning Bolt.
And is this a Harm's Way?
Is it Harm's Way? Oh my goodness. Wow. Harm's Way. 2 more damage. What a swing. Not only is the Goblin Guide alive, but Coimbra takes 4 this turn.
He's at 14.
He's at 14 as he untaps for turn 2. Arid Mesa from Coimbra.
He's at 13 once
now
he cracks
he's at
that
13
Arid Mesa.
when he cracks it.
He has the Celestial Purge here for the Goblin Guide.
Wow, that harm's way was good. And like all these cards were in the sideboard last game. Really interesting the way Bram's playing it. Coimbra's hand is...
There's a Taktar Lanaso in Bram Snepvangers' immediate future.
19.
All right, Bram's trying to figure out how he wants to play turn 3. There's a mountain. Haven't gotten a look at... Is that mountain off of fetch land? Does that mean we have a bushwhacker in our future? Yes. Bushwhacker for Bram. Hoping for no purge, but the purge is going to nail him here.
Yes.
Right, first we process this trigger. Blood Braid. Going to get shuffled away. Arid Mesa gets a plane, so Coimbra's at 13. Purge, presumably the Goblin Guide. Yep.
Coimbra comes down to 11.
Yes.
But yeah, the Bushwhacker hits him for 2 down to 11. And no one drop. So Snepvangers passes the turn with just the Bushwhacker in play.
And
yeah, here's Thoktar. Yeah, turn 3, not really the turn Bram wants to do with the Bushwhacker.
18.
Mesa sack. Does this mean we have a Ranger in our future? Or an Elspeth? Oh, Elspeth's in the board. Ranger. So, what do you get here? Vanguard and the other Bushwhacker? Goblin Guide?
Just going to get 2 Goblin Guides.
Is the second Goblin Guide better than the other Bushwhacker?
He may have the Bushwhacker in hand.
Possible. Yeah, pair of Goblin Guides. And Thoktar holds off the attack. So a blisteringly fast start from Bram Snepvangers, but turn 2 Celestial Purge, turn 3 Willy Thoktar has slowed him down. Coimbra's sitting on 11. Coimbra's hand is Ranger, Bloodbraid, a Johnny, land, and I think land.
So you play the Ajani here and kill the Ranger. Gain 3, go up to 14.
He could Bloodbraid here. He could Ajani here. I mean, Ajani's going to die to the Goblin Guides, right?
Sure.
But maybe that's okay. You get to block 1 with Thoktar. Cash in Ajani for 3 life and a Ranger and a Goblin Guide.
Or is he going to go get Ranger?
He could also Ranger. Could also Bloodbraid.
Hope to hit a Lightning Bolt.
You're at 18, right? I'm at 18, yes.
I'm not sure there's a bad choice. Oh, interesting. Bram has his 1 Celestial Purge in hand. Bram's hand is Celestial Purge, Skyfisher, Goblin Guide, Goblin Guide. Oh, he can pick up the Bushwhacker. That's why he didn't get Bushwhacker. He can pick it up with the Skyfisher.
The play we saw him win with in the quarterfinals.
It's true.
Johnny Vengeant, it looks like, for Andre.
All right, Coimbra does play a Johnny. And Lightning Helix is the Ranger. So Johnny's on 1 counter. Coimbra ships the turn with his Thoktar on defense. Now we know Bram has drawn his 1 copy of Celestial Purge, so presumably
he's going to go ring.
He's going to purge the Thoktar. He's going to go Goblin Guide, Goblin Guide. This is a really good turn for Bram, because he gets to the Bushwhacker is all it takes to kill a Johnny, and 2 Goblin Guides can deal 4 points to Coimbra.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
He's going to lose the 3. He's going to lose 4, yeah.
Yeah. And he does hit a land. Second one hits a land. So the Goblin guys are certainly filling Coimbra's hand with land, but they're also dealing a bunch of damage. Coimbra is down to 10 now. Bram's got a Ranger and a Skyfisher left. Yeah, he's set up next turn to Ranger, and the turn after that to go Guy, Skyfisher, Bushwhacker. Okay, Bloodbraid is what Coimbra elects for. He flips Celestial Purge. Oh, takes a Goblin Guide. I don't know if that was the right play. Now, if he had taken the Bushwhacker, he would have denied Bram the Skyfisher play. But he takes out the 2/2.
Takes at least 7 next turn, or at least 5 next turn.
Oh, I don't think Snepvangers does the Skyfisher trick until the turn after. I think he fills up with Ranger first.
Sure.
He's got to build for that over the next couple of turns. Coimbra plays land and Hierarch.
A.K.A. a blocker.
Yeah, a.k.a. a blocker. What does Bram draw? Draws another Ranger. He'd really love some more land. But, like, with those Rangers, he can just spill a million small creatures onto the board over the next couple of turns. With only 4 land, though, it's going to take him a while to get all that stuff into play. So how do you play this? I mean, there's a lot of questions. Like, do you attack with Goblin Guide? Are you willing to trade it for Bloodbraid?
I don't think so.
I think you play Ranger here. Like, I don't like Skyfisher now. You may as well do your Bushwhacker play with more guys in play. So I'm pretty sure you're supposed to spend your 4 mana on a Ranger.
Yep.
Okay, he decides to attack with the Goblin Guide. Coimbra has taken damage before randomly. What did that hit? Okay. Baneslayer on the top, is that what we saw? Oh, wow, we see Baneslayer on the top of Andre Coimbra's library. That is bad news for Bram. And Andre does trade off his Ranger, or his Bloodbraid, for the Goblin Guide.
Happily.
Yeah. Ranger VOs for Bram. That Baneslayer totally changes this game. Yeah, Bram's Baneslayers are in the board. He basically has to draw a Baneslayer answer.
He needs Path or Journey to Nowhere.
Yeah,
very,
Path,
very
Journey, Oblivion Ring. One of these has to come off the top. Or is it just Journeys in Bram's deck? Trying to figure out what to Ranger for, meanwhile. Yeah, he's got Oblivion Ring in there. Couple rings, couple journeys. At some level in Bram's mind, he has to assume he's going to draw one of those. If he doesn't draw a Baneslayer answer, he's going to die. He's going to lose. So, assuming he does draw a Baneslayer answer in the next turn or two, what does he want? Decides for Vanguard and
Bushwhacker.
Bushwhacker.
So he's got Bushwhacker activations for 2 turns. Andre writes the cards down so he won't forget.
And ships the turn. All right. Coimbra draws the Baneslayer that we see. He almost draws a card off Bram's deck. Funny. So what do you think the Goblin guides this game? They really have cleared a bunch of land off the top. They've sort of dug Coimbra down to that Baneslayer.
Turned on his Celestial Purges.
But they came out so fast and hit so hard. Sort of a really interesting card. I mean, very polarizing. All right, Coimbra assessing his options. He's got Baneslayer and he's got Ranger. And he has no idea whether whether Bram has an answer. It's also got Oran Reef, by the way. He's thinking, obviously, Baneslayer is awesome, but if Bram has a path, then the Angel is sort of like all the eggs are in one basket. If he plays Ranger, then he can go Ranger Guy. He can have, 3 blockers plus the Hierarch. I mean, right? He can go Ranger for Nakatl.
Right. Play both of them.
He can have a 3/2 and 2 3/3s in play right now. I like that play. I mean, this is similar to the Manuel Bucher situation we saw earlier. Baneslayer is awesome, but if they have an answer for it, you know what? 3 guys is just better.
Sure, we saw that in the Manuel B match that playing the Baneslayer.
Bucher could have gone Emiria Angel, Fetchland, Kraket to get 3 different potential blockers, but he went Baneslayer, got it removed, and lost the game. Yeah, I like this play from Coimbra. I mean, we know Bram doesn't have an answer for the Baneslayer, but he certainly could. He's got at least half a dozen in his deck. So Ranger fetches up Nakatl, and Coimbra ships the turn. Bram draws Geopede. So what is this? Geopede, Vanguard, Goblin Guide? I mean, he's just setting up for a big Bushwhacker turn, right?
Which, if the Baneslayer comes down, is just...
Well, he has to draw a path. Like, in his mind, he's going to draw a path to exile, or the game is over. So don't even worry about that.
Does he want a Ranger Vios here, then, and thin his deck?
I was going to say, Ranger uses all his mana. Like, he only gets to put the 1 card down. He can go Skyfisher, Vanguard, Geopede. He can put 3 creatures into play if he goes Skyfisher, Vanguard, Geopede. Skyfisher no land, obviously. Potentially go Skyfisher, Bushwhacker, Vanguard as well, and attack for 3 in the air. But then he's out of Bushwhackers. Or no, Skyfisher, pick up Bushwhacker. I might do that. I might go Skyfisher, picking up Bushwhacker. Bushwhacker so the Skyfisher can attack for 3, and then play a Vanguard.
He opts for the Ranger Vios.
He opts for the Ranger. If he had more land, I would like this play a lot better. But, I mean, maybe he's on your movie. He just wants to thin.
He just wants better
He's
odds
just like,
I need... Ring or...
I need to thin the non-Baneslayer Angel answers out of my deck. 2 Snepvangers. Yeah, Bram trying to set up for 1 giant Bushwhacker attack. Coimbra trying to defend against it, and
Coimbra going to sneak some damage in here?
Potentially. I mean, it's time for Coimbra to play the Baneslayer. He's played enough blockers that he doesn't lose to a path.
He can play Noble Hierarch, attack for 5 with Ranger Vios.
Yeah, he'd probably do attack. He's going to have 5 blockers after he plays the Baneslayer.
Yep. Bram goes right for his pad.
13. And there she is. There's the Baneslayer. Bram needs an answer right now. What did he draw? I didn't see it. Drew a land. Mountain. Well, sets him up to make a bunch of guys. Next turn's probably not too late. Like, that Angel attacks with the 2, thanks to the 2 Hierarchs. It attacks for 7. So Snepvangers is literally 2 attacks from dead. I guess he has chump with Skyfisher, but I mean, once Coimbra starts picking up 5 life, plus 5 life, plus 5 life is really bad news. So
plus 7 life.
Plus 7 life. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, I mean, Bram seems like he just got to get as many guys into play as possible. He has to assume that there's a Baneslayer answer on top of his deck, and try to set up for a big bushwhacker turn. Taps 2 plains, step links, 2 mountains for Geopede. And does he play the last mountain, or does he want to save it for triggering landfall? I think he might save it for triggering landfall.
He can always get the landfall with the Skyfisher.
That's true.
Oh, does he not have a Goblin Guide in hand?
No,
Sorry,
he's got the Bushwhacker.
So he's going to say go here.
I think you hold the land. I mean, he can cast his entire hand next turn. The thing is, if he plays it, then he's able to path.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, okay, he plays it. He's planning to Skyfisher a land. All right, Coimbra delighted to untap with Baneslayer in play and see no white man on the other side. Like, he knows there's no path. Here's Ranger. Oh, more Hierarchs? Hierarch.
Would Hierarch be the Yoda of the Naya Lightsaber deck?
More Hierarchs. 4 Hierarchs. That Baneslayer attacks as a 9/9. Snepvangers suddenly at 4. Andre Coimbra all the way back to 19.
And those two Hierarchs get a
Reef
plus
means
one,
they get
plus one
bigger.
counter.
Bram needs an Angel Lancer right now.
He can buy 1 turn with Skyfisher.
Oh, he drew Scalding Tarn. Yeah, he's got Chump Block with Skyfisher. But now what else is he going to do? He's obliged to Chump Block with Skyfisher, so that's going to happen. Now, what else is going to happen? He can potentially play the Bushwhacker turn here. He can crack a fetch land to make all his landfall guys gigantic. He's got be a little bit worried about more attackers than just the Baneslayer, though. I mean, the thing is, Coimbra, Bram's at 4. If he cracked fetch land, he's at 3. So Coimbra has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different potential lethal attackers. Yeah, if you assume Snepvangers is going to crack the fetch land, which seems like he probably has to. I don't know. If he doesn't play the fetch land, then he can afford to take 1 3-power hit. But yeah, Coimbra has 4 different 3-power creatures than the Baneslayer. All right. Snepvangers does crack the fetch land. That drops him to 3. I mean, he can force some chump blocks here. Wow, it's a huge attack turn, right? The step links are 4. Assume the Bushwhacker gets played. That's 5, 10, 16, 20, 24, 26, 28. Snepvangers can attack for something like 31 points of damage here. But Coimbra's got an army. The four Hierarchs have outlived their usefulness. So there's 4 blockers. I mean, that saves like 16 life or something.
Sure,
18.
and they trade for the 2 Bushwhackers even, like the 2 with the counters.
Yeah, the problem, those Hierarchs were really good for Coimbra there, because all of a sudden, every 3-power creature is lethal. Okay, Elite Vanguard for Bram. He's not going to show him the Skyfisher. Right. Bushwhacker for Bram. This seems correct. I like keeping the Skyfisher back. Skyfisher can also potentially pick up a Bushwhacker
I think both
to block
Bushwhackers
with.
are going to die here, but
Yeah, I mean, Bram is essentially making it look like this is the desperation all-in, I'm dead next turn, hoping Coimbra will sort of mess up the block somehow, not knowing Skyfisher's coming down. Wow, it's a tough attack. I have no idea how much Bram can attack with and still defend against the crackback. All right, step links, Ranger, GOP, Vanguard. But not the two Bushwhackers.
Two noble hierarchs absorb 10 points of damage, 12 points of damage here from the two step linkses. And
I mean, I think Bram has to give Coimbra the chance to mess this up. Yeah, okay. Keeps the two Bushwhackers back. Coimbra's going to block as many things with, clearly he's going to block with all four hierarchs. They don't accomplish much of anything. That would have him taking
8,
4, 8, 9, 10, 11.
You have one card, right? Yes.
with more than enough damage to crack back even with...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like if he keeps all his 3 power guys. Yeah, Bram's mana is a little unfortunate. He's not able to pick up a white 1-drop and replay it as a chump blocker. Just kind of what he needs. But even then, he's not going to have enough. No, I think that Baneslayer from Coimbra is going to be this thing that swings this game. Coimbra's willing to take 8. Bram's not going to have enough blockers.
Do you have 11 points in your hand? No. First strike. Regular strike. Counter strike.
Yeah, Bram gets the bluff lightning bolt is what he gets to do. Yeah, there's the hand. Andre Coimbra through to the finals. Baneslayer off the top, and we have the finals set up that Mike Flores dreamt about a week ago. Naya Lightsaber fighting for the good side. The evil Jund deck, the boogeyman in standard, fighting for the dark side.
Just got a yes from Mike on my phone.
There you go. Mike Flores designed this lightsaber deck. He handed it to his buddy Andre Coimbra. Coimbra has piloted it through to the finals. There you go. Those are some nice semifinal matches.
That was some exciting
They both
play.
went to 5. Coimbra 3-2 over Snepvangers. Reitbauer 3-2 over So. There's your final. Austrian David Reitbauer turns into a spectator first. He'll be cheering on Team Austria. That's what we're going to be bringing you next, is the team finals. Austria versus China. Then we see Austria versus Portugal in the finals, where Reitbauer will be taking on Coimbra. What do you think? Early edge?
I think I'm looking forward to watching these videos on the break. That's what I think.
All right. We'll be back in 10 minutes. See you soon.